All right, y'all. Welcome to Healing Through Seduction. Today's webinar is going to be about the ways you can heal without hurting yourself, how you can reconnect to your body and your sensuality, and quite frankly, live out loud and on purpose. And we need you to live out loud and on purpose more than ever. Okay. If you are one of my OGs, put OG in the chat. And if you are new here, welcome, 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 welcome. My name is Pearl Noir, and I'm going to be your sensual Jiminy Cricket today. And trust me, I know a thing or two about living in your full potential, purpose, living out loud when things are not going right, when shit is hitting the fan, and I'll tell you more about me a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get into it, okay? Today we're talking about the 5 steps you need to take to reconnect to your body and your sensuality. Okay, so again, I want to welcome you. If you can, I would love for you to grab a pen, grab some paper, and of course, you're going to need to have this beautiful open heart. You're going to have to open up your mind for this webinar, okay? And please note that I am not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. I want you to consult with your spiritual team, okay? Your health team, all the people you need to before trying these rituals, just to make sure that they're aligned. Now, let's talk about who this training is for, just so you're not wasting your time, okay? This training is for you if you are what I like to call the nurturers, the healers of the world, the strong friend, the mothers, okay, the unpaid therapists, the mission-based entrepreneurs, the artistes, okay, people who are doing their part to make sure the world has light. And now it's time for you to be nurtured. Here's what you're going to learn in this next hour. I'm going to teach you steps to reconnect to your body. I'm going to offer some rituals and some different daily practices that are very practical that can help you feel a bit more sensual. And most importantly, this is about you healing without hurting yourself. Okay? Here is my promise to you. I will teach you some rituals and practices that you can use before you walk into the boardroom, okay, the bedroom, on stage, before or after protesting, or during that important me time. Before we even begin, y'all, let's start with consent. And this is just a bonus for you in this moment, right? Of course, I want you to grab all of the things, grab that notebook, grab that cute pen, but let's focus on self consent here to ensure that you are actually open for this training. And then, of course, we want to call in our sensual ancestors, our liberated ancestors. We want to call in the sensation of our own body so that we can say yes to this training, okay? So if it feels good, if it feels aligned, feel free to stand up, sit up, lay down where you're at. This is going to be really quick. Placing one hand near your heart area and the other hand wherever your body is calling. Take a moment to just take up space in silence. Shh. 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 Let's go ahead and breathe in here. A gentle moan out. And before I decide to teach you anything else, I want to just ask for consent. So feel free to respond to me in the chat or just respond to me energetically. I will feel the yes or the no. Do I have your consent to be a flawed human being in your presence today? Okay, it's important that you honor that people who are here to do healing work are not meant to be perfect. I am a human being and I want you to be open to my humanity. Let's breathe in, a gentle moan out. Do I have your consent to be my full self in your presence today? Allow yourself to say, I'm going to, honor who this lady is. And last but not least, do I have your consent to be your sensual Jiminy Cricket today? And, if you know who Jiminy Cricket is, He was Pinocchio's guide. He could not force Pinocchio to learn any lesson a certain way. So I will be your guide today, but it's up to you to say yes and no and determine how you're going to incorporate these rituals, these practices into your daily life. And let's ask one more. Do you give yourself consent to be open to this training today and to honor your boundaries? If anything I say doesn't feel aligned, you just toss it away, right? You're not going to get upset. You're not going to be triggered. You're just going to say, oh, that's not for me. I'm going to honor my boundaries and I'm not going to do that. Or you'll leave. Okay. All right. So let me just tell you a little bit about who I am so you know that I know what the hell I'm talking about, right? Okay, I am a keynote speaker. I am the founder of Healing Through Seduction. I'm a healing and sensuality coach, and proud to say I'm a Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, and of course, your sensual Jiminy Cricket. I have been around the world, and I could find myself. I found my baby in me. The first time I taught these principles, these rituals was back in 2012 in Tokyo, of all places. Here I am teaching Healing Through Seduction for the first time. Here I am offering these same principles and rituals I'm about to teach you in front of 1,000 millionaires, CEOs, therapists, artists, okay? At the Millionaire Summit, this picture is from 3 years ago in San Juan. I also had the pleasure and luxury of presenting this at the famous Lincoln Center in New York City, okay? That Lincoln Center, okay? In their Spotlight edition, I presented Healing Through Seduction. It was beautiful. But what really got me here and why I'm so adamant about this work is due to the 19-year-old version of me, okay? She's the reason why I do this work. At 19, I found myself in a business deal I could not get out of. At 19, I found myself being tricked one weekend into prostitution by someone I thought that was my friend. But luckily for me and for the world, I did not stay in despair, right? So after I was set free, I allowed myself to use these healing rituals. I allowed myself to stay in my confidence and get my autonomy and my liberation back. This is why this work is so important to me. Now, I want to say, don't just take my word for it. I have over 1,000 receipts. Okay, here's one from Tylo, who I just adore. She says, I'm not lying, y'all. This class was everything that I needed. I was able to ground and reset myself in areas of my life that have been blocked for so many years due to childhood trauma. How many of you feel stuck and locked, right? She goes on to say, everyone deserves to feel as amazing as I do right now. What are y'all waiting for? Okay, go sign up now. I promise Pro Noir is going to get you right. So my goal is to, by the end of this time that we have together, for you to be my next testimonial. So let's get into my Healing Through Seduction, I'll say HTS moving forward framework. This is how you are going to become liberated and embodied. The first thing you're going to focus on every day is redefining intimacy for yourself. You're going to find your inner sanctuary, okay? You're going to heal through burlesque and storytelling, and I'm going to dive deeper into all of this in a moment, okay? We're going to honor our boundaries with ourselves, not other people. We're going to practice self-consent. Liberate yourself through sensual movement, activate your chakras, fall back in love with glamour, honor your ancestors, okay? And all of that jazz. Now, this is where we're going to dive a bit deeper. I want to take you through an assessment, right? I want you to be able to kind of lock in and see where exactly you need to focus and which one of these principles are really calling to you right now. Okay, so I'm going to go through everything, and then I want you to either put red, yellow, or green on your paper, or you can put it in the chat if you want. Red means Molly, you in danger, girl. Okay, yellow is okay. We're about to dance now. And green, baby, Oprah is on the way. You get a car, okay? You get a diamond bracelet. You get a new house, right? Okay. The goal is to get us to green as much as possible, right? And I want to just say this assessment, this is not an invitation to judge yourself. This is not an invitation to be hard on yourself. This is just so you can say, okay, I want to work on this. And so once I tell you all the different 5 steps or the different 5 rituals, you'll know exactly which one is calling to you right now. All right, let me grab some water real quick while you all get your notebook ready. Okay. All right, up first. All right. This is principle number 1, redefining intimacy, y'all. So you are red if intimacy only exists in your life through other people, if it's connected to service. And also, I want to say real quickly, all of these principles were things I had to face myself with and say, oh my God, the only time you're intimate is when you are of service to other people. Even in romantic settings, you're still focused on the other person and not yourself. So again, I'm able to teach this to you because I have survived it and I keep surviving it over and over again. Okay, so back to it. Red, intimacy only exists through other people, or perhaps you feel disconnected right now or empty when you're alone, right? Perhaps pleasure or validation or connection is truly dependent on being chosen or desired or witnessed, right? So this, if this feels like this is you right now, then this is red. You are yellow if you have your moments of connections, okay? But sometimes you find that you do default to that external validation, right? And you are Oprah Green if you experience this intimacy with yourself consistently, all right? Consistently feeling connected. You consistently feel resourced and alive, right? Even when no one else is present, okay? Find your inner sanctuary. This is one of my favorite principles to live by. Okay. So you are in red if you have no internal sense of safety, if you're uncomfortable resting, if stillness feels unsafe in your body. So you do like many of our grandmas taught us to do, many of our aunties, right? Because it's passed down. Baby, you're humming and cleaning at all hours of the night because you actually cannot be still because you're afraid to see and trust and feel yourself. You're afraid of yourself. You are in the yellow if you can feel safe sometimes, but it's not as consistent as you want. And as soon as you have any moment of inconvenience or stress or conflict, you're quickly pulled out of your body, right? And so you are green if you have this refuge, right? If you can self soothe, if you can regulate yourself, if you know how to return to yourself in challenging moments. And again, this is not about judgment of self. This is about saying, I'm here to learn how to evolve, how to nurture the new version of me who's calling to be witnessed. Okay. Let's move on to the next principle, healing through storytelling and burlesque. So basically, what I'm asking you is how often are you allowing your own mind and the stories you tell yourself to be your safe haven? Burlesque is not necessarily only about being a performer or a stage performance. When I'm talking about burlesque right now, when we think about healing, I'm talking about how often do you have moments where you feel like you have full autonomy and you are the embodiment of who you want to be? So, red would be feeling seen, feels dangerous and shameful. And I'll just say from my own healing journey, what I discovered is those of us who have been called and we feel afraid to be seen, chances are high you were probably punished or killed in a previous life once you got too powerful, right? I had a past life reading and it makes sense. And I felt this as a child. I'm always a priestess. I'm always a warrior. Sometimes I'm a madam and I get punished when I'm seen a bit too much, right? And this happened in my childhood, which is why when I had the reading, it made total sense to me, right? This is red if feel shut down when you do live out loud, and that's because you're living out loud in front of the wrong people, and you purposely hide parts of yourself to be safe. You are yellow if you can express yourself and you feel creative and you allow yourself to be open with yourself, but you're still thinking, okay, but Pearl, there's a diva inside of me, and I know I'm suppressing her, and I'm ready for this diva to come on out, right? And you are a green if you're like, baby, I'm expressing myself every single day. Okay. I'm out here, I'm telling myself powerful stories in my mind. I feel empowered, and I don't give a damn. Okay. And I just want to say, we all go through different versions of ourselves. So it's quite possible you felt that 10 years ago, but there's a new version that needs to be nurtured, which comes to our next principle, honoring your boundaries, right? Each time we level up, we have to honor new boundaries with ourselves first, and then we teach other people how to treat us. So I would say put down red if you say yes when you really mean no, right? And this is something that I have to constantly heal from and be on top of, because I was raised as the eldest daughter, that my job was to make sure my mom never felt the burden of being a mom. My job was to make sure I never said no when she needed me, right? And so then that taught me how to overgive in all of my connections and to attract people who needed to be mothered, and attract people who needed someone to offer a connection that's not balanced, right? And so this is making you feel drained, perhaps resentful, invisible, and your body is currently telling you, I'm exhausted. I want you to stop, which is probably why you're here. And so that's a red. Yellow is, you know what your boundaries are, but sometimes enforcing them feels hard when you're dealing with your loved ones, when you're dealing with your children, when you're dealing with your family or your chosen family. So you have a hard time, or perhaps it's at work or with your clients, right? And green is where boundaries are feeling natural to you right now. You trust that no, you trust your yes. Okay. Practicing self-consent. We did it a little bit earlier. So you would be in the red if you have to be honest, that you override your body's signals. You push through discomfort. You push through exhaustion, right? Or you ignore your desires. And this is because you feel obligated to focus on everyone else first. And if you're not careful, you will begin to be the martyr in your own story instead of the hero. Yellow is you check in with yourself, but you don't always honor what you hear. And any of us can be a yellow at any time, right? And green is you give yourself permission to do what you want, to rest, to feel, to stop, to trust your body's signals on a regular basis. Okay. And let me know how you're feeling about this so far in the chat if you feel open to while I get some water. Okay. And so I can't do two things at once. So, but feel free to talk to me in the chat, but just know I'm going to come back in the chat a little bit later to connect with all of you. All right. So liberate yourself through movement. Okay. Y'all, especially if you are African, Latin, Asian, indigenous, whatever it is. Hey, sitting still is very powerful, but I believe we are supposed to heal through movement. Our meditation should include movement. That's how you're going to liberate yourself, especially in this era where everyone is taught to be still, to be stagnant, and the only thing moving is one finger, and not in the best way. Okay, if you get what I'm trying to say. So let's talk about what it means if you're in the red. If you are in the red, Movement sort of feels disconnected, or it feels forced, or it's just completely absent, right? You kind of avoid your body and you only move your body for productivity. You're in the yellow if you enjoy movement on the occasion, but you struggle to stay present, right? Or perhaps you're judging yourself whenever you think about letting those other parts of your personality have a moment to shine. And green is like, you know what? I'm catching myself dancing in my underwear at all times. And especially if you're a mother, you're already teaching your little ones what it means to be in their body outside of work or giving someone else pleasure. Okay. Then we want to get into activating your chakras, okay? You are red if you feel blocked, if you feel scattered, if you feel disconnected, right? If your emotions feel stuck, if you are constantly feeling overwhelmed, there's a blockage here, right? Yellow is if you have some sort of awareness, but you kind of struggle to maintain that flow. And your practices, they don't feel complete, right? Or they feel inconsistent. Green is when you constantly feel that there's an energy flow. You constantly feel aware. There's ease. You feel aligned. You feel grounded, expressive, and connected at this time, y'all. Okay. We have two more. All right. Fall back in love with glamour. Oh, okay. As the Black girl raised in the South, okay, from her Baptist church going Black grandmother, her mother, when my mom was well, she always had her heels on. She always, those of you who remember it, A Different World, my mom dressed like Whitley. Oh, I loved when my mom was like in her fashion bag, right? She always looked good and she always had red lips. And even the crackheads in my neighborhood, the Michelles, the Lulus, and the Annie Pearls, they were still dressed. They were crackheads, but they were dressed, honey. Michelle, not so much, but the other two, yes. All right. So let's break this one down. You are in the red if you have subscribed to what I call dressing down is a trap. Okay. The only time you dress up is at work, when you have an engagement for other people, or maybe when you're trying to impress a lover, right? It's like, oh, let me put something on. So you're red if you hide your body and your appearance, or your dressing feels like it's more of an armor or an afterthought, and you're kind of disconnected from beauty and adornment for self. Yellow is you dress up on the occasion, but you kind of feel guilty. Maybe you grew up like me where it was the, oh, who do you think you are? You ain't all that. What are you dressing up for? You're just going here. You're just going there. Right? But life, you're meant to live life every single day. Make every moment the special occasion. In green, baby, adorning yourself feels like devotion to self. It's pleasurable, right? You can express yourself through your style, your confidence, and your joy. And most important, focusing on your glamour feels ancestral, and it feels like a tribute to those who came before you. All right. And the last one, honor your ancestors. Okay. We have to honor them and understand that not every ancestor was downtrodden, and your ancestors passed down more than curses. They also passed down wisdom, a blueprint, right? You may not know who did what so many centuries ago, but I can tell you, not every ancestor of yours it was suffering, right? And so, red is you believe you're here to just break curses and not activate your ancestral power. You're carrying shame, scarcity, or disembodiment, or you don't focus on your healing or even calling on them because you think that, oh, I'm just going to call on someone who was traumatized, or my ancestors were evil. I don't think Big Mama became evil after she died, y'all. And so yellow would be you're kind of curious, but you're unsure how to engage, or, it just doesn't feel like something you should do. But for me, when you're talking about connecting to your body and your sensuality, you want to acknowledge and gain wisdom on what habits may have been passed down. And green is you feel fully supported, fully supported by your lineage, and you're living out loud and saying hello at the very least to them every single day. Okay, so what was your score? I find that most people are in the red or the yellow. Let me know. And I want to get into all of these powerful practices that you can get into. So let's focus on your 5 steps and the rituals, y'all. Okay, if you feel called, I want you to think about honoring your boundaries. I want you to honor your boundaries by romancing your thoughts and respecting how you eat and drink moving forward, right? So once you respect yourself on a deeper level, this is when you can live out loud at home, at work, with your family, and the world will follow your lead. So here is your practice or your ritual. This is what I did to fall in love with my dark skin. I loved being Black. I have never had an issue with being a Black girl, but my God, did my some of my family members, some of the teachers at school, and definitely the kids in the neighborhood made me hate being a dark skinned Black girl. And of course, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm not even that dark. But I grew up in the South, and I hated myself so much, my skin color, that I daydreamed. I used to daydream about getting plastic surgery to look like a biracial girl. I had a folder where I cut out, like a vision board almost, bless my heart. And so in my 20s, that's when I said, no, I have to fall in love with how I look, man. It's no one else's responsibility but my own. And I said, what's the easiest way to do this? And I said, oh, every time I take a sip of water, every time I drink something, I'm going to speak to my dark skin. So whenever I would take a sip of water or champagne, a libation, have something to eat, I would say, I love my beautiful brown skin. And I just kept seducing myself. And again, seduction is not about manipulation, it's not about some terrible demon living inside of you. Seduction, when we think about when we are seduced by others, when we fall in love, it's because we feel that we can trust ourselves in their presence. I'm asking you to do the same for yourself, regardless of who's around. The next thing is redefining intimacy. Seduction begins with trust. I just said that. So I'm going to encourage you for your practical step that you can take every day, your ritual. I want you to have a journal or create a jar where you just tell yourself beautiful romantic things. Or you can leave these love notes around the house. And again, I want to just say all of the rituals I'm giving you, all of these practices are things I had to do to show up as the person that attracted you to come to this training today. So create this journal. This journal is just for you, just for your positive thoughts. And not toxic positivity, but romancing yourself, right? If we can naturally think about the worst case scenario, what's wrong with naturally thinking about the best case scenario? If we can naturally degrade ourselves by ourselves, what's wrong with romancing ourselves, right? Either way, you're manifesting your own reality. Okay. And the love notes are so fun. So what I used to do was leave them around the house, in the freezer, in dressers, in pockets, in pocketbooks, in purses. Okay. And I would always find the love note exactly when I needed it. Okay, moving on to find your inner sanctuary. I want you to build an altar for yourself. Not for your grandma, not that represents your religion or spirituality, but this is an altar for you. What version of you are you calling on right now? What version of you wants to live out loud? Right? So, again, one of the things I did was create an altar for the child who needed to love who she was. Okay. And this is not about revisiting painful memories or trauma bonding with your damn self. This altar is maybe you want to be a keynote speaker. So, hey, I'm going to go speak to the keynote speaker every single day. Maybe you're starting a business. Hey, I'm going to go speak to the entrepreneur every day. Whatever it is, whatever part of your personality wants to let loose, we're going to have an altar for them. Okay. Practice self consent. Now, this one can be done in your bed, y'all, right when you wake up. Ask your body for consent. Hey, do I have your consent to trust my dreams today? Do I have your consent to trust the wisdom passed down? Do I have your consent to trust my voice, to keep my heart open, to trust my sensuality, to trust my creativity, to be grounded? And again, I know who I attract. I attract the strong one of the group, the free therapist of the group, or the actual therapist, the activist, the artiste, whoever you are. Ask your body for consent before you serve others. Make sure you can actually pour into them from the overflow, right? So when homegirl is calling to talk about Tron, who she's not leaving anytime soon, ask your body, do I have your consent to answer this call, or do you need time? This is one of the most powerful ways to show up for yourself. Liberate yourself through sensual movement. Sensuality isn't limited to the validation from others. And sexiness is not about checking boxes. Sexiness is the embodiment of you living in your truth. So I want you to be liberated every day by taking a moment to just simply move your body freely for yourself and identify what your sensuality means to you right now, this version of you. So let me know in the chat which was your favorite ritual and why, y'all. I really love if, I always tell people if nothing else, start with the consent. Start by asking yourself for consent. And here's a bonus tip: reconnection is a practice, not a moment. So when we think about healing our connection to our body, our sensuality, or just going on our healing journey in general, what we need to remember is that your body is calling for you every day, right? You know you need to drink water every single day and eat food or you will perish. And we've grown accustomed to that. You know you need to release toxins from your body every single day. And we do not judge that that needs to happen every single day yet. We judge that our body is asking for healing every single day. We judge that our mind is asking for healing every single day. So reconnection needs to become a practice to you, not just, oh, I'm going to think about this every 10 years. Now, I know you're probably wondering, okay, Pearl, this was amazing. Thank you. But how is this going to help me in the real world at work or with my family? In 2017, there was an article written called How Sensuality Can Heal. Now, this article is from Psychology Today, okay? And it highlights that engaging in sensual behavior can make you feel more alive, less stressed or depressed. Okay, this is about your overall well being. I just want to show you some stats so you know I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. Okay, let's get into this one from Forbes from 2024: how to use rituals to supercharge your productivity. Okay, in this article in Forbes, they explain how rituals act as distinct cues for focus and productivity, which can help you show up, right? You can be more confident, you can get more shit done and establish the discipline that you want, the work habits. And of course, this is linked to your success and money, okay? And last one, 2025, engaging in rituals, another article from Psychology Today. This one highlights that rituals give people meaning, emotional grounding, okay, which can lead to lower anxiety, okay? This is about you feeling regulated in your daily life. This is about you honoring your boundaries, y'all. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful so far. Please let me know in the chat if it is. Now, today I promised that I would give you these steps. I promised that I would teach you how to heal without hurting yourself. And I hope that you feel that I honored my job. Let me know. So here's what I invite you to do next. If this webinar stirred something in you, imagine what devotion and guidance and embodiment can do. Okay. First of all, let's acknowledge that shadow work is very important. So please understand, I am not discounting the importance of therapy, the importance of shadow work, but so many of us, man, we know how to revisit trauma. We know how to be hard on ourselves, but do we know how to self seduce and soothe? At some point, seduction must become a part of your healing journey. Okay? So here's how I can help. First of all, again, if nothing else, okay, I do have an event coming up, but if nothing else, I want you to focus on honoring your boundaries with your body and focusing on daily self consent. I like, if nothing else, please. So let's talk about the tea here. Before I even invite you to my event, I want to talk about my why. Every time you are paralyzed by fear, you go to bed exhausted, you go to bed uninspired. Let me tell you something, the man wins. And today, this is how I choose to protest, right? Because I know who I attract. I attract the nurturers and the light workers, the mother figures of the world. And I want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to stay inspired, inspiring, and energized, right? They win when we're disconnected. This is about you honoring a different version of the work, right? You're tired of healing that requires you to break yourself open again because you've already done that work. You've already done the therapy. You've already done the journal prompts. You've done the meditation apps. And that trauma processing has left you drained now, probably because you've already moved through it and it's time to go to the next level, right? This is about you offering yourself a moment not to dig deeper in your pain. Here's what nobody tells the strong ones, the healers, the entrepreneurs that are mission led. Your body is exhausted from carrying everyone's pain, including your own. You're also sitting all damn day. You're scrolling through doom. You're scrolling through trauma. You're seeing images that you're not meant to see every single day. And you've tried all of the modalities, but now it's time to stop talking and it's time to start moving through it. What if you could recharge without opening old scars? What if your body could release what it's been holding without forcing you to analyze it or to explain it? Your body needs permission to move, to feel. You need a moment to reclaim your autonomy. That is where the tease comes in. Okay, let's get into it. Now, again, I am not a therapist and I'm not inviting you to a therapy session or to trauma bond. I suggest that you incorporate this into your therapeutic practice. Okay. If you haven't tried therapy before, I also highly recommend dance therapy, which is the kind of therapy that I love. So the Tease is a 60 to 90-minute live online healing experience, right? We're going to offer you grounding experiences, guided sensual movement, a little burlesque, all right? And this is designed for women, femmes, trans people, okay? Non-binary people who feel burnt out and who want to recharge without revisiting trauma. The tools and the rituals that we're going to embody that day, these can be used. I got to say it again. I want you to know you can use this before you go into a boardroom, a bedroom, on stage, before you're protesting, or when you're alone or with a partner. And also, if you're a mother or you're a guardian, right, you can also teach these rituals to your children. Let's talk about the debt that your body is currently collecting because you keep ignoring that your body is calling. The hardening of your heart. And I, again, went through all of these things, which is why I can teach you. You'll keep doing the work, but you'll do it behind a wall. The empathy that used to be your superpower starts to feel like a liability. You'll find yourself resenting the very people you were born to serve because you have nothing left to give yourself. The ghosting of your own body, right? So this is when you stay in your head to survive and you have now lost the ability to feel even the good stuff. You ignore it, you pass it over, you sweep even the good stuff under the rug. The freeze, right? This is for you business owners, the CEOs, right? This is when you're the artist. This is when your art and your business require that heat. Motherhood requires heat. Changing the world requires heat. But you can't light a fire, y'all, when you're frozen in survival mode. I'll say that one again. You can't light a fire when you're frozen in survival mode. And again, everything I'm telling you are things I had to tell myself. That crash is coming. The crash is coming, okay? Your nervous system doesn't give a damn about your why. If you don't release this weight of everyone else's trauma and expectations, your body will choose for you and say, sit down, sat down. It will demand that you quit. I learned this the hard way. When I was a full-time burlesque performer, I had this nickname, Mama Pearl. And how I got that name was that anytime anyone needed me, and I do mean day or night, I was available. Sometimes I would help 5 people at a time, and no one realized how much I was working behind the scenes. And one day I stood up from bed and my body locked up on me and I was sideways, okay? I was sideways. I'm going to age myself. I looked like I had not had my V8 for the day. Okay. And I was on bed rest for a month. Don't do what I did. Here's what you're going to experience while you are working with me. Okay. An exercise to help you move, help you breathe, help you reconnect. Right. This is about your sensuality, y'all. A grounding ritual to help you settle in your body. Okay, your peace, get all of that going. All right. You're also going to experience that interactive practice. Okay, this is also about you having immediate takeaways and practical tools. Please and thank you. Let's talk about what's included. Live, okay, not AI, not pre-recorded, but a live communal event. All right, we're going to ground. We're going to have these embodied practices. There's going to be reflection. This is about supporting your confidence and that self-trust. And a replay will be available to you so you can revisit. I'll also include a digital workbook so that you can stay consistent with this. And there will also be a short audio guide. So again, when you need to come back to this practice, you can do it on the go. Let's talk about why this works. One, it's me. Hello. Also, it's short, right? It's the one day. That way you don't have to say, oh, because I used to offer this for 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks. And we want to make sure that you have that time, right? The practices are simple. We are going to do, a little bit of burlesque as well, but I want you to know this is not a dance class. You don't have to remember choreography. You don't have to strip in front of anybody. And you can also turn your camera off. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to use a platform where I'm the only one on camera. So you don't have to feel exposed. This is also a good introduction to my longer program where we meet in New York City. Let's talk about some receipts that I have. Okay. I love this one. I may have been in therapy for years. And again, we are not discounting therapy. We are not therapy is a must. Okay. But I can tell you that my work with you has been a huge part of being able to trust myself and accept the love I deserve from myself. Okay. I like this one too. Thank you, Pearl. Thank you again for the class. Thank you for all that you share with the world. It's all so profound. I feel like I walked out the room with a bag of diamonds. Okay. I also like this one. This is from one of my OGs. Okay. I love this. You don't have to be a dancer. This is a chance to live out loud with your authentic self. Okay. And then she goes on to say, this is the time to love and romance you. Okay, there's always something new and exciting brewing behind the curtain. Okay, let's see. Now I want to get into the Q&A, y'all. Okay? And before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm also going to put the link in the chat. I'm going to take this QR code down just so I can make sure I can see everything. But thank you so much for being here. I hope that you feel inspired to just take care of yourself and know that that's the way to pass down generational wealth. That's the way to protest, right? So, again, feel free to put your questions in the chat and I'll just go over some of the most common ones that I usually get. Okay. What if I can't attend live, Pearl? Okay, not a problem. A replay will be included for you. Okay, I know how sometimes we sign up for things and life happens. We're going to make sure that you're sorted. Okay, I feel guilty spending money on myself. How do I justify this? First of all, you should only work with me if it totally 100% feels aligned. I'm not here to convince you. However, I will say this is about maintenance. Okay, you already give to everyone else, and I'm asking you to start giving from a cup that is full instead of one that's looking like it's in the desert. Okay, you are worth it without conditions, right? You don't have to justify it to yourself. Is this a fit if I'm busy or overwhelmed? Yes, this is why we decided to go from the 4 to 8 week version of this and make it into 1 day. That way you get the instant results. Do I need prior experience with healing, burlesque, or embodiment work? No. This is about you showing up and you're going to be guided and everything is step by step. And what's powerful is when you're in a community setting. I mean, we've all done it, right? You've walked into a place and the energy was just rank. It was nasty. You didn't like it, so you left. Energy is real. Think about the power you're going to feel being in a beautiful environment where everyone has the same mission, everyone has the same goal, everyone has the same beautiful energy. Okay, I know many of you are like, Pearl, I'm exhausted. I don't know if I have the energy for this. First of all, if you're exhausted, that's why you need to be here. It's kind of like saying, I'm hungry. Should I go ahead and order some food? Yes. So I want to invite you to come as you are. You can have your camera off, journal closed. You can be running on empty and just sit back. I've had people come to my live in person workshops and just sit there. It's like, I just wanted to be in the room and they leave fulfilled, right? The tease is designed to sort of refill the cup, not demand more from you. This is about you leaving lighter and more connected. And again, the cameras will be off so you can come as you are. But also if you want to come dressed, do all that too. Okay. Now, this one I get all the time. Pearl, I want to do it, but I feel selfish. Choosing yourself is not selfish. And those of you who are talking about being activists, you're a mission-based entrepreneur, you're a therapist, you're a mother, and you're talking about generational wealth, that generational wealth is not starting with your degrees. The generational wealth is starting with dismantling this notion that taking care of yourself is selfish. You're allowed to exist for yourself and to feel good doing it. Will we focus on trauma or shadow work? No, because I'm not a therapist and we don't have a therapist on staff yet. I highly recommend working with your therapist to focus on your trauma and the shadow work, right? Or a spiritual advisor, a priestess, whoever you feel called to. And then you come to work with me to learn the other side of healing, to learn what seduction means in your life, right? This work is sacred, but we're not going to journal about the trauma we have survived. All right. So that is what I have for you all right now. I appreciate you, first of all, spending time with me. This was so much fun for me. I absolutely live and breathe this. So, yeah, if this was inspiring to you, please share. Please share this. I always tell people, get in the habit of sharing the good energy, the good vibes happening around the world. You know, Evil has a great press agent, but there's so much light happening in the world too. So thank you all so much. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I appreciate you being here with me. If this was inspiring, please pass it on. And I'm going to put up the QR code one more time for you. That way you can look over everything. And then, of course, it'll be in the chat as well. All right, y'all. Until next time, thank you so much for being here. All right. Bye.